The air inside Manchester Arena was electric, long before the first punch was thrown. Thousands of voices merged into a deafening roar, waving flags, chanting names, and holding their breath for a moment that carried the weight of legacy. Under the bright white lights stood two men separated by geography, but united by destiny. In one corner, the hometown hero, Tony Bellew, a warrior forged in Liverpool's unforgiving streets, a fighter who had already defied the odds time and again. Many believed this would be his final stand, a farewell written on his own terms. Across from him stood the silent storm from Ukraine, Oleksandr Usyk, undefeated, undisputed, and seemingly untouchable. He wasn't just defending belts that night, he was defending perfection. Calm, composed, almost expressionless, Usyk moved like a man carrying a secret only he understood. Bellew, meanwhile, carried the fire of a nation behind him, fueled by belief, emotion, and the promise of one last miracle. When the bell rang, Bellew wasted no time asserting himself. He stepped forward confidently, planting his feet, firing sharp right hands and forcing Usyk to respect his power. The crowd erupted every time Bellew's gloves snapped against Usyk's guard. Early on, Bellew's strategy was clear: disrupt the rhythm, land the counters, and make the champion uncomfortable. Usyk, usually so fluid and dominant, was cautious, studying, calculating. Bellew's right hand began to find its mark, catching Usyk clean and drawing gasps from the crowd. For the first time in a long time, the champion was being tested not just physically, but psychologically. Bellew wasn't intimidated. He wasn't overwhelmed. He was fighting like a man who believed destiny could still be rewritten. As the early rounds unfolded, Bellew's confidence grew with every exchange. He circled intelligently, switching angles, refusing to let Usyk settle into his usual rhythm. His right hand struck with precision, snapping Usyk's head back and sending waves of excitement through the arena. Bellew wasn't reckless. He was composed, disciplined, and tactical. Each time Usyk tried to close the distance, Bellew met him with resistance, reminding the undefeated champion that this was no coronation. For a moment, the impossible felt possible. The champion, known for his relentless pace and suffocating pressure, was being forced to think, forced to adapt. Usyk's gloves stayed high, his eyes locked on Bellew, analyzing every movement, every breath. But beneath the surface, something was changing. Usyk began to inch forward more deliberately. His footwork, subtle and precise, started cutting off the ring. His jab became more frequent, probing, measuring, setting traps invisible to the untrained eye. Bellew continued to land his right hand, and each success drew roars of approval. Yet Usyk never panicked. He absorbed the moments of adversity, like a machine processing data. The early success belonged to Bellew, and the crowd believed they were witnessing the beginning of an upset. But inside Usyk's mind, a different story was unfolding. He was solving the puzzle, piece by piece. Each exchange gave him information. Each round brought him closer to understanding the timing, the rhythm, the vulnerabilities. Bellew was fighting brilliantly, perhaps the best of his career. But Usyk was learning. And when a fighter like Usyk learns, the danger multiplies. By the middle rounds, the momentum began to shift. Usyk's presence grew heavier, his pressure more suffocating. He started stepping in behind sharp jabs and snapping left hands, his punches landing with increasing authority. Bellew, still brave, still dangerous, continued to fire back, but the pace was beginning to take its toll. The champion's engine never slowed. Usyk's feet moved tirelessly, cutting off escape routes, forcing Bellew into uncomfortable positions. The crowd's roar turned from celebration into anxious anticipation. Usyk's left hand became a weapon of inevitability, slicing through Bellew's guard and landing with chilling accuracy. Bellew's counters became less frequent, his movement less fluid. The energy that had fueled his early success was slowly draining away. Usyk, calm and relentless, sensed it. His punches came in combinations now, flowing like waves crashing against a weakening shore. Bellew showed immense heart, standing his ground, refusing to surrender, firing back whenever opportunity allowed. But Usyk's precision was surgical. His left hand arced from new angles, his jab snapping Bellew's head back, his pressure constant and unforgiving. The physical and mental strain began to show. Bellew's breathing grew heavier, his reaction slower. Usyk's confidence, meanwhile, grew with every second. He was no longer reacting. He was controlling. The hunter had become the storm. Every step forward carried menace. Every punch carried inevitability. Bellew, the warrior, still fought on, but the tide had turned, and everyone inside the arena could feel it. Then in the 8th round, the moment arrived, sudden, brutal, and unforgettable. Usyk stepped forward with cold precision, his eyes locked on his target. Bellew, brave to the end, tried to fire one more counter, one more act of defiance. But Usyk had already seen it. He slipped inside the danger and unleashed a perfectly timed left hand. The punch landed flush on Bellew's jaw, with devastating force. Time seemed to freeze as Bellew's body went limp, his legs betraying him, his balance gone. He collapsed backward onto the canvas, the sound of impact echoing through the stunned arena. The crowd fell silent in shock, witnessing the violent punctuation of greatness. Bellew lay still, staring into the lights, his final stand brought to an end by a moment of undeniable brilliance. The referee stepped in, waving it off. It was over. Usyk stood tall, expression calm, almost emotionless, as if this ending had always been inevitable. The announcer's voice rang out, confirming what the world had just witnessed. Oleksandr Usyk, still undefeated, still undisputed, still the king of the cruiserweight division. Bellew, the warrior, had given everything, proving his courage and heart. But Usyk had proven something more. That greatness isn't just about power or speed. It's about patience, intelligence, and the ability to break down even the bravest challenger. That night in Manchester, Usyk didn't just win. He cemented his legacy, leaving behind a performance that would echo through boxing history as the moment a perfect champion delivered a perfect ending.